And oh my God, that's horrible. In fact, it was even picked up by Bay Area people going, oh my God, now gentrification's hitting Fresno. So, yeah, and I go, thanks for importing your problem into our hometown.
I wouldn't call this gentrification.
No. Yeah, right. So gentrification would be if there were a bunch of poor people living here and prices went up and they were forced out. I would say when you take a vacant building and fix it up and new people move in, that is not the definition of gentrification because no one's being forced out. Now someday maybe Jordan won't be able to afford to live here and then she'll say she was gentrified out. I put gentrification this way in Fresno. I think it's a large city problem that big-hearted people have tried to put across the board, and it doesn't really exist in the Central Valley or the San Joaquin Valley that I've seen. That'll make some people mad, but this is my analogy to gentrification in Fresno. Now, a few years ago, we know by data that we had the largest concentration of poverty of any of the top 55 cities in the United States. So on the spectrum, we know that we're way over here with the most concentrated poverty. Gentrification would be at the other end of that spectrum. Now we know we're at this other end. And someday we might get over to the other side where we have gentrification. But if we were to worry about what problem we really have, we would be worried about concentrated poverty because we know that it makes it difficult for young people to escape and they end up in a life of poverty and other social problems. So we should worry about the problem we have as opposed to the problem that might someday happen way far down the road. I equate that to me worrying about winning the Mr. Universe contest and that it will put me in a higher tax bracket. Now it is possible that that could happen, but that might not be my immediate concern, right? I might have some other things to worry about before I get to that other problem that I imagine somewhere in the future. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't have data points to see if gentrification is beginning to occur. We should be looking at that and we should be using data to see where we are on that spectrum. But right now the data tells us we are way over on one horrible side of that spectrum. So let's put our focus there. So this intersection to me and the clock tower that was recently moved out of the middle of the new street is the center of the central San Joaquin Valley. So if you're to draw a circle around here of a 45-minute drive period, we would have 1.7 million people within a 45-minute drive of this spot. Only 500,000 of those people live in the city of Fresno. So more than 2/3 of our market are not City of Fresno residents. So when I hear people say, how are you going to get people from North Fresno to downtown, I think that is 1/3 of our market. If they're really hard to deal with, maybe I should focus on the other 2/3, right? We've built this freeway system for right or wrong, but this is the center point of it. So people from Kerman can get here quickly, people from Selma, Fowler, Kingsburg can get here quickly, Hanford, Lemoore from 41. We've got 180 going out to Sanger and Reedley. So if you're in those outlying smaller communities and you want to go somewhere for a big city experience, you're not going to get it in those cities. No matter what they do, you're not going to have 40 restaurant choices in Kerman or Sanger, right? So if we're doing that, we become again the center where you might not come in every week or even every month. But when you have a special 20th anniversary or you want to take your granddaughter somewhere for a really interesting ice cream, you can all get people from the Central Valley coming back into this one central hub. And that's how downtown functioned before we had all of this suburban sprawl. This is the place where all of the small towns came in for goods and services and entertainment, shopping, music, culture, all of that. So as we do revitalization, which by its name means putting life back to where it used to be, that's what we look at for our clue. So this used to have life. It used to function as the central urban gathering point for our region. And as we put life back, that's what we want to do. We want to be the regional hub, not just the how do we get North Fresno people back here hub. We want them too, but they have a lot of restaurant choices and all of that out there, so they might not be the easiest market to get down here. Just like my 82-year-old neighbors that I grew up with in Northwest Fresno might not be my target market. In fact, they told me they weren't. They might come down here some, but just like if you're here for Catacomb Party or the Frez Yes Fest or Grizzly Fest, you might not see my 84-year-old former neighbors that I grew up with hanging out there. It might be a different demographic, right? Not all of us can be the target audience for everything. I heard Ulta was moving a plant to Fresno, and I had no idea what they were talking about. I had to research what Ulta was. I am not the target audience for Ulta, right? Right, exactly. You knew what it was, right? You do the makeup Instagram stuff. So we think about that. So when you think about a vibrant downtown nightlife, you can come down here and see what that target audience might be. You can go to Tioga Sequoia tonight and you can look around, and it's not all 20-year-olds.
Right.
They're 40, 50, 60-year-olds, and it's a wide demographic ethnically, but it's people that love to be in a downtown environment. So the people that are going to be down here sort of just because this is where they want to be, let's give them something to do, and then we add more of those demographic groups into it as we have more options, right? So ultimately, when Savat gets a restaurant on the 15th and 16th floor, and it's your anniversary and you live in Reedley, you might make a reservation to come and do something that nowhere else in the Central Valley is going to be able to offer that kind of experience, right? So those are the kinds of things that we begin to look for. Miranda,